HUK, and this is Sculpting 101. This is lesson 3. Now, last time we did some blend additions, and today we're going to do some blend cuts. We're also going to look at texture and how you can change different parts of your prop that you're making so that you have different textures to show it off. So what I'm going to make is a cushion. So we'll start off with, I think we'll start off with a rounded cube, and we'll just flatten that down like so. I'll make it nice and big like that. So there we have our cube. It looks a little bit wonky. It is supposedly straight. It's just the different angles that you're looking at it. It can look a little strange, but it is right. It's just, it does look a bit odd, I must admit. What we're going to do is I'm going to take a sphere, and I'm going to go L1 and square to get into blend mode, and I'm going to up the blend amount. Now you'll see immediately it's starting to pull the shape. Okay, so we'll just now press the triangle button to make it a cut, and now you can see instead of pulling it out, it's pushing it in. So we can now distort our shape to make a more organic shape, so not as round, not as straight in places. So you can pull it around, go all the way around. Don't forget you are working on a 3D shape like so. Okay, so this is going to be our cushion. Now you see I've deformed it so that it's cushion shaped, and I'm going to add a little bit more shape blending in. So I'm going to use a cube this time. Just make that a little bit smaller. Little bit of blend, and then I'm gonna cut into our shape. So now I came out there, so I'm gonna have to go back in to scope into our object. So I'm gonna have to press L1 and X. And now I'm scoped in. Now, as you can see, if I get it at an angle like this, we're now adding in some just indentations like that on our cushion. There we can see some indentation. Now I'm going to put some buttons on here, but I don't want the buttons to be the same as our cushion. So I'm going to go into sculpt mode, and I'm going to make sure by pressing start new sculpture and go into cylinder here, and we're going to make our buttons. Now I know what colour I want our buttons to be, and so I'm going to make them shiny metal, and we're going to go for that colour. That makes it a nice shiny gold colour, and I'm just going to stamp that down like that. And as you can see, these are now fitting nicely in, but this is a single sculpt. If I was to move my cushion, scope out now, if I was to move my cushion, you see they're not actually attached. So now you have to grab them with the R2 button, and then L1 and X, add it to the group, and then put them back where you want them to be. And you can still adjust them, so you can still scope into the individual pieces and move them around, change the angles on them if you're not quite happy with the angle. There we go. So I've added some metal buttons to our cushion. So that is one texture, and then our cushion is another texture. So I'm now going to add a fringe around the side of our cushion. I want that to also be a separate sculpt. So sculpt mode, make sure we're in start new sculpture. To be honest, if you've come out, you're probably okay, but just to be safe, it's always a good idea to press that so you know that you've got the right thing. Now I'm going to go into smear mode. So I pressed L1 and triangle, and that changed it to smear mode. And I'm just going to smear along the top and smear along the sides like this all the way around. There we go. And this is going to be our fringe and the outside of our cushion. Now at the moment it looks absolutely horrendous. Doesn't look very good at all. So now we've got the option to colour things in as well, but let's get some texture going. So I'm going to change the looseness like this, add the ruffle, add impasto, and you can see immediately this has got a completely different texture now. This is more of a furry thing than before. But the texture of it is not quite right. So we're going to star mode and change the flex, and I'm going to pick, let's try that one. So what you do is you pick it and then R2 over the top of to apply, and there we go. Or we could try this one. That makes it very fluffy. I quite like that one. And we're going to colour it as well. So come out, go back into sculpt mode. I'm going to make this a nice white fur. Out comes the spray paint. Scope in, paint my fur. Let's make it Father Christmas's, Santa's cushion, shall we? We'll make it red. So here is, we'll scope in now to the cushion part. I've changed to a nice deep red. And one big stamp on there, and that whole cushion is now red. There we go. So we've got now a cushion, and we can always change this as well. So we can make this a bit more shiny, make it a leather cushion like this, make it less shiny, make it a more of a felt by pushing the waxiness right over to 100% that way, and the shininess and roughness right over to that way. That way you get like a felt cushion, which is quite cool. I'm looking at these buttons, I'm thinking they're a bit big. So I'm gonna make them smaller, like that. Scope in, and then move them into position. And you can do this for your prop. At any time you can move everything about. You can stretch your objects inside your sculpt. You can make them bigger, make them larger, pull them about, change the colour of them. There we are, that's a bit better. There we are. So there we have our cushion. Now I'm not overly happy with the positioning of our fur, so I can move that around a bit. We seem to be getting quite a lot of redness here on this bit of it. Let's just open it up and see. Is that just lighting, or is that's pink? Okay. Let's get out our white tool here. There we go. I don't know why that got painted pink. A bit strange. Shouldn't have done that. Anyway, there we go. Let's scope right out. Make sure you always scope right out. That button needs pushing in. Whoop. Scope and scope again. Make sure you get the right object. There we go. Yeah. It's always a good idea to look at your object from different angles, because what might have been the look right from one angle doesn't look right from another angle. There we go. So we've got 3 textures on this prop. Scope right out. There we go. So we've got the felt, the fur, and the silver buttons all on one prop. And we use the deforming tool, and you can still use the deforming tool after we're done. So I can take this, keep it the same color as the thing that you're deforming, and then we'll go might make sure we're in stamp mode. Put it in square, blend, cut, and then scope into the bit that you want to cut, so I can just manipulate my fur if I don't want it quite as big as I've got it there. There we go, I'm just reducing the size of it a bit. Just scoping around like that. There we are, that's better, isn't it? On the back here, take some of that away. There we are. Santa's cushion. Whoops, I keep forgetting to scope that out. There we are. And of course you can copy this as many times as you like. And there we go. I think that looks quite nice. So that's how you can play about with texture on an object so that you have different textures on the same object. It's really good for adding metal bits to a thing or furry bits to a thing, and it's especially good for costume design where you might want fur or metal buckles or leather straps or whatever. Do them as separate objects and then scope them into the whole afterwards. And but you can also manipulate them separately within the same sculpt. You don't have to take them apart again. They can always be changed once you've placed them in. There you go. Hope that was useful. Thanks for watching. Catch you in dreams.